Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. To you, today. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. The corn is as high as an elephant's eye, and it looks like it's climbing clear up to the sky. Name that tune. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. Oh, what a beautiful day. Guten Morgen. I'm learning German currently, finally, after 5 years of going to Germany. So, guten Tag, guten Morgen, guten Abend. Okay, so we've got a tremendous episode for you today. Just speaking that into existence. Guten Morgen. Going to do work as we have been, in business as usual sequencing today. I have a reflection question on my Instagram story, and we'll move through our meditation, pranayama, some mobility stuff. And then at the end of the session, I'm going to bring on my mommy, and we're going to have a little conversation for you all. So, want to also say thank you to everyone that tuned in on Saturday for the Global Ascension meditation. It's quite meaningful for me, and also, I'm just always honored that people want to tune in and trust me to facilitate things that can be so personal and so delicate, and so meaningful. So thank you for checking in with that and for being a part of that, for contributing your heart, your mind, your spirit to that endeavor. If you want to do it again, which I highly recommend, or if you were not able to do it with me live on Saturday, the last post I made on my grid has actually in my link tree on my bio, you can go up there to get a copy of the recording. Oh, curious to meet the woman that raised such an awesome... Now, isn't that just a nice thing to say? Thank you. I'm completely self-made, so my mom had very little to do with it, but she likes to take credit. All right, so the topic of reflection today is around the subject of service. I think for a lot of us, especially those of us that are on this live stream interested in yoga and mindfulness, a lot of us are rather empathic people that that feel the pain and suffering and struggle of others, and also are aware of the power that we have to help. And I think what can be really difficult in these times for a lot of us is that when the urge is there to show up and help and be of service, but we're also told that we can't go anywhere or do anything, it can feel a little bit like our capacity to serve is somewhat kneecapped. The way that I've tried to mitigate that and tried to respond to that is by doing these live streams, and also acknowledging that I can also help support those that are able to be more directly of service. So supporting the frontline workers, supporting the emotionally, mentally, physically, in whatever ways I can. Anyway, we'll get more into that later, but I'm curious to hear from you and invite you to reflect on the ways that you can be of service during this time, or the ways that you have been of service in this time, however large or small. It could be picking up the phone and making a call. It might be the ways that you're donating or helping to raise awareness. I know for some, the desire to be of service is sometimes blocked or hindered by limiting beliefs about your capacity or what you have to offer. So I've included that question. How can I be of service? What might stop or block me from that? And then the final question there, for those on the other side of the empathy spectrum, where perhaps your desire to be of service overpowers your ability to take care of yourself. I am curious to have us reflect a little on how we can balance that desire to help others with the need that we first, put the oxygen mask on ourselves, so to speak, and prioritize our own self-care. So those are the questions for the day. Spend a little bit of time with those. Typically, I encourage that we write them down, journal, but you can reflect in whatever way you'd like. And while you do that for the next few minutes, I'm going to pull a card, like a full-on card puller now. But I just love this deck, and so far, what comes out is always quite meaningful. Is that Caro? Hi, Caro. Caro hosted me recently in Poland. I guess it was just about a month ago, before all this went down. Glad we got to hang out with each other before the lockdown began. Hope you're well. Why Wrocław, in fact, Michael, as you know. Caro, meet Michael. Michael, meet Caro. That's Muya Yoga. Michael spent a good amount of time in Wrocław last year. Caro lives there. All right, we have Gazelle today. Gazelle. Let's see what the Gazelle is all about. I'm still learning these cards, so I read from the book. When I was younger in PE, physical education, which was interestingly my least favorite class when I was in high school, I always felt so awkward and lanky because I went through a growth spurt very quickly. I'm 6'6" now, and that growth spurt happened in like sophomore year of high school, freshman year. I hated PE, I hated running, I hated using my body because I felt so awkward and lanky. And one person told me one time that when I run, I look like a gazelle. And I almost cried because I was like the nicest thing someone had said about my physical movements in a fitness capacity. Okay, so the gazelle is about heightened awareness and ability and vulnerability. Because the gazelle represents supreme grace. With every move, this awe-inspiring beauty emits sophistication and elegance. Gazelle personalities are often hyper-aware of their surroundings, bordering on hyper-vigilant, and this can inhibit them from enjoying the beauty they've spent so much effort cultivating. No more worrying about all those predators out there in the wild. When this card appears, it's time to get back to the present moment, sit down, find your breath, and acknowledge the bounty that surrounds you. Let it nourish your gentle spirit. When in balance, the gazelle is graceful, perceptive, and artistic. And when out of balance, the gazelle can adopt food allergies, insomnia, and a racing mind. To bring into balance, yin yoga, a cozy home, and good food. How about that? Should we do some yin yoga this morning? What is yin yoga anyway? All right. So I guess we have our assignment for today. Cozy home, good food, enjoy the beauty around you. That is so me. Is that me? I'll take it, listen. I will happily don the identity of the gazelle. Actually, it is pouring rain in Los Angeles, which doesn't happen often. But I was saying, like, I'm not sure if I would rather be quarantined in like a cold, snowy, rainy environment, or like in LA where it's often sunny and warm, because then like the sun sort of taunts you to want to go outside. But it is nice to be able to, go up on the roof and suntan now, sunbathe. But days like these, at least a couple times a week, are really, really nice. Oh, hey Trina. Rainy 100. Faux show. Okay. All right, so we're going to do some pranayama and some meditation today. And I think for the meditation, I want to do a somewhat abridged version of what we did on Saturday night. The invitation for the Global Ascension Meditation was to join forces around the globe at the same time and sort of do the same thing, or focus on similar intent. And while that can be really potent, there's countless studies about peace-building efforts and how when many folks come together and entrain heart coherence, it actually does create a bioelectromagnetic field that can affect matter, that can affect change. But it doesn't need like a million people around the world at a specific time to work. It can work with, there's 25 of you on the live stream right now. It can work with 25 of us every day at 9:30 as well. And it can work with just one of us as well. So it's not all or nothing. So we're going to kind of anchor in what I'll call sort of a global coherence meditation. And we'll likely do that several times throughout this week. So I'd like to make that a bit more of a routine endeavor during these times. For our pranayama, I'm going to actually have you start in a supine position first. I'm going to do a little bit of diaphragmatic release. I've been working with several clients during this time, and a lot of folks are saying they're having a difficult time breathing, and even like some stiffness in their spine or pain in their SI joint. And there's many things that can contribute to that, but certainly when we're under times of great stress, or even just times of more sort of sedentary activity, we can start to develop patterns of holding patterns or patterns of tension around the tissues of our diaphragm, which can affect the way that our body is able to shape change and expand and breathe, and also the way that we can transmit force through our spine into our pelvis, into our legs, and so on. So everything is interconnected. We talked on Saturday about this sort of jellyfish like energy that moves through our body as light. In the more physical sense, that jellyfish-like muscle would be our diaphragm, this beautiful dome-shaped muscle that lives up underneath our ribs. So do a little release for that, a little breath, and a little meditation. Thanks for joining, guys. So I'm going to lie on my back with my knees bent. And if you've never done this before, get excited. It can also feel a little vulnerable. There's lots of trigger points around the diaphragm, and there's lots of, it's connected with our breath and with our sense of vitality and life. And so when we start to dig around in here, we might touch on some things that may be connected with that survival instinct. So with your fingers, you're going to bring your hands just to the base of your sternum, and right underneath your sternum in your solar plexus, there's sort of the softer tissue of your muscle, but it kind of bunches here between your low ribs. So you're going to start by pressing your fingers into your solar plexus, and you can just take little circles. And if you feel like right away touching here is somewhat traumatic or strongly uncomfortable, then just back off a little bit. Sometimes even just tapping or touching lightly can be useful. And now start to use your breath as you inhale. See if you can create a widening in this area so your fingers can move a little deeper in. So as I breathe in, my ribs widen. And as I breathe out, I can kind of press and soften a little deeper in. And from the center, We're going to bring our hands over to the right. So walk your fingertips underneath the ridge of your ribs. And I'm really trying to hook under with my fingers and palpate the fibers of my diaphragm, the tissue that surrounds them. And as I dig up under my ribs, you could, depending on the state of these tissues, you might get your fingers up underneath quite a lot. It might just be a little. Okay, it's not intended to be an aggressive act. You can walk your hands all the way out towards the side ribs. And then walk your hands back underneath. And find your way back to the center. You can try that again. Go out to the right. So I'm sort of hooking with my right hand and pressing with my left fingers. Good morning. And before you do the second side, just pause for a moment. Take your right hand and place your right hand on the base of your right ribs and even a little to the right. We did a similar activity with Trina last week, which is called one lung breathing. But now that we've released the right side, just take a few breaths into your right hand. Have the sense that your right ribs could now expand a little more. Maybe they can. Then we'll bring our attention over onto the left side. So starting in the center, you can start to work underneath your left rib. So left hand will hook a little, right hand will dig up and under. And the lower attachments of your diaphragm, so they run up underneath these ribs. The diaphragm hooks to the bottom part of your sternum on the xiphoid process. It also goes around and attaches to what's called the arcuate ligaments that run along the bottom of your floating ribs and around onto your lumbar spine. So we're working more the anterior lower attachments here on the front side of the diaphragm. Just to say, this is a three-dimensional muscle, as are all muscles, but it runs the circumference of your ribs. Massaging and hooking right now. Just releasing our diaphragm so we can get a more easeful breath. Okay. All right. Take your left hand on your left ribs. See if you can send a bit more of your breath into the left side. Place your right hand on your right side. Take a few breaths in the supine position. And use the feedback of your hands and also of the floor underneath your back ribs. Have the sense as you breathe that your breath could press in all directions into your hands and into the floor. Even up into the back of your sternum. And before we sit up, let's just straighten our legs in front of us, straighten your arms overhead, and like you might have done first thing this morning, getting out of bed, stretch yourself as long as you can. Feel the back and front of your body stretch. Feel the sides of your body stretch. And then you can bend your knees, roll to one side, and bring yourself back upright. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of seated pranayama. And yes, last week we did this as well with Trina. And she had us place our hands on our side ribs like this and use that as feedback for more of a lateral expansion of breath. You're welcome to do that as well. I really quite like using a thing. A thing could be a stretchy band, it could be a scarf, it could be a strap. This is a useful strategy if you don't have the range of motion, but it's also nice because you can create a little bit more pull or a little bit more force on the ribs. And that force, not to say that it helps us breathe, but it gives us a bit more feedback and more contact. So this stretchy bend is not quite as long as I want. Let's try this one. So it goes around the back. Again, this could be with a scarf or with a towel or with a strap or a belt. And then on the front side, it's going to cross. I'm holding on either side. Okay, so I'm just at the base of my ribs around where those lower attachments of the diaphragm are. And if I was to pull with my arms, my ribs would cinch in. And if I was to take a deep breath, I could use my breath to press out into the strap or into the band. Okay, so that's all we're going to do. So bring yourself into a comfortable seated position. You could also do this sitting on a chair. If you need to elevate your pelvis on the floor, by all means do. And I'll ask you to close your eyes. And without squeezing excessively, whether you're using your hands or a prop, do feel that sort of, again, jellyfish-like pulsation. As you breathe in, feel your ribs press against your hands or the prop. And as you breathe out, feel the prop squeeze in and press against your ribs. And the last thing I'd like you to add into this exploration is a visual, almost imagined prop on top of your head. And imagine that prop on top of your head was probably like a sandbag, okay, something that's not going to easily fall, but that you do still want to be centered. So just a little round sandbag on the top of your head, and imagine that it weighed about, let's say, 5 pounds. So if you were to relax, that sandbag would weight you down a little bit and create sort of a vertical spinal creep or a compression. But if you were to push up into the sandbag, you could use the weight of the sandbag to inform some decompression and strength along your spine. So as you inhale, broaden your ribs in all directions. Receive the weight of that sandbag. And as you exhale, pull a little with your arms, and as you narrow your ribs, press up into the sandbag. So on the inhale, there's an expansion. And on the exhale, there's a narrowing and a lift. Notice any parts of that strap, if you're using it, that don't seem to be pressed as you breathe in. Can you direct your breath into some of those harder to reach spaces? Maybe even at the end of what feels like your inhale, there's more room. You take in a little more breath at the top. And at the end of the exhale, can you press out just a little more breath and sit slightly taller? For the last few breaths, if you're holding the strap or have your hands on your ribs, you can release. Let your hands rest to your thighs. And see if you can continue breathing in this way, but with, let's say, like 50% effort. So just strike that effort in half. So the jellyfish-like diaphragm can expand, and likewise expand your trunk as you breathe in, and recoil on the breath out, which helps to direct the force through our spine and into the crown of our head. And then can you strike that effort in half to 25%? And then down to 10%. And if you went all the way down to 0% effort, of course you would still breathe, but your breath would be organized through the autonomic function of your body. We call that sahaja pranayama, the observation of our natural breath. I'm going to transition this into a few minutes of meditation, and if you would like to change or adjust your seat in any way, please feel free. Make yourself comfortable. Please place your right hand over your heart. And now underneath that rhythmic unfolding of your breath, feel the beating of your heart. The organ of your heart is actually nestled in between your lungs. And as you breathe, your lungs, like two balloons, really multiple balloons, there's several lobes here, inflate. And the inflation of the lung tissue creates a very gentle squeeze on your heart and actually lifts it upwards a little. If you were to hold your ribs in place, which I don't suggest, but if your lower ribs where we palpated and massaged and mobilized were sort of stuck down, then as your lungs would inflate, they actually might have the effect of pushing your heart down a little. So we liberate our thorax, liberate our diaphragm. Our breath can create an uprising, an elevation of our heart as we breathe. And when you exhale, the lungs sort of deflate and recoil, and the heart just settles right back down. The heart actually sits on top of the diaphragm, so the movement of the diaphragm also creates a rocking, a lift, and a lower of the heart. So as you breathe, feel not just the beating of your heart, but the rocking of your heart. As if your heart was floating on top of a vast ocean and being rocked by the waves. The waves which are being rocked by your breath. from this place, can you bring your awareness down, not just from your heart into your belly, from your belly into your pelvis, from your pelvis into the floor, from the floor into the earth, but keep going all the way down into the center of the earth, the middle of our earth. Our earth, which spins much like the spinning of the chakras, as this large electromagnetic field of information, organization, vortex of life. And can you connect the core of the earth, this immensely dense, rich, potent nucleus of energy, with the energy of your heart rocking atop the sea of your diaphragm, being massaged by your lungs. And as you connect the line from heart to earth, from earth up to heart, continue that line from heart through head, through brain, through crown, and up into the cosmos. A golden strand of light from center of earth, through heart, through head, into the infinite. And much like your body, as you breathe in, that light sort of widens and diffuses a little bit as it expands. And as you breathe out, that light focuses and sharpens and pierces straight up. Your body is a manifestation of that light. At any point, you can release your right hand. And consider that you are not alone in the connection of this light from center of earth through crown. But the others, really all others on our planet, have connection to this strand. But especially those that are joining right now in this meditation. Feel the resonance of your fellow meditators around the world at this moment. Likewise, connecting the rhythm of their heart to the rhythm of the earth, to the rhythm of the universe. Perhaps even you can connect your heart to their heart, our hearts. And further amplify not just our light, but our capacity to transmit light. And finally, can you take all that light and information, even the earth upon which you sit, that seed at the center of the earth, and plant it now inside of your own heart? One of the ways that we can be of service, perhaps one of the more powerful ways, is by enacting our own capacity to generate thought and emotion and to imprint on our reality our intention, to output frequency, which ultimately becomes manifest. for the last few minutes, within the privacy of your own heart, can you hold our planet in your heart and imprint upon it your vision, a blessing? Astronauts that go to space reflect on how seeing the small blue dot of our planet from space is quite a profound experience. The dynamism of life, complexity, the suffering, the pain, the joy, the beauty, the chaos, the order, all of it is condensed into a single blue dot. Perhaps that single blue dot planted inside your heart, all it contains, feels much easier to love and appreciate and bless than some of the individual components that comprise it. So hold our planet, hold this blue dot, and imprint upon it your blessing. Let go. Just like when we plant a seed, we plant it, we water it, we expose it to light, and we let it go. We don't dig it up every day to check in on how it's doing. We don't try to plant it harder to make sure it grows faster. We nourish it regularly. We trust, we tend to the soil, and we let it go. Let this go. Take a deep breath in and out. Softly allow your eyes to come forward and open and take in the space around you. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to go through a relatively quick joint mobilization routine today. I'm going to pull this from the FRC world. We'll do some full body cars. I want to have enough time to chat with Lama at the end, and if we bump up against 10 o'clock, we'll do a second live stream for the last 5-10 minutes or so. So take your time in standing up. You're welcome. Thank you. Get the fullness of me here today. Okay. All right, so we'll begin with our necks. Bring your arms down by your side, and when we do the cars routine, the intention is that we keep our body still so that the movement is being isolated just in the area that we're focusing upon. So one way that you can help to further stabilize our shoulders is actually by making fists with our hands, which creates what's called global tension that moves up our arms into our shoulders. You can also root that down through our legs. Okay, so keep your upper body, keep your torso, your trunk, your legs still. And we'll bring your chin towards your sternum. So come into neck flexion. Then rotate your head to the right, so look over your right shoulder. And then take your left ear back. You'll turn your gaze more towards the ceiling. And then bring your head over to the left. Rotate your gaze down towards the floor and bring your chin to your chest. Again, to the right. Left ear goes back, rotate. Over to the left. Turn your chin down. Bring sternum to chin. And then bring your head back up. Other direction, chin to chest. Rotate your left ear towards your left shoulder. Then take your right ear back, bring your head back over to the left, to the right rather. rotate, chin to chest. Again, rotate left, turn your gaze up, head to the right, rotate right, chin to chest, and head up. Okay. Next we'll move into your spine. You can cross your arms in front of you or give yourself sort of a hug here. This is done to really keep your arms sort of out of the equation and also to stabilize your shoulder blades. Okay, so similar movement with our spine that we did with our neck. You're going to come into, in fact, if you bring your legs a little bit wider, it's easier to keep your pelvis still. So you're going to do sort of a standing crunch. So I'm not flexing at my hips, just rounding my upper back. So take that standing crunch, point your elbows more towards the floor. And then you'll rotate your spine to the right, so your elbows are pointing down and to the right. Then bring your left shoulder back to rotate your elbows more at the diagonal towards the ceiling. And then slide back into the left. And then rotate, point your elbows towards the floor, and come back towards center. Again, go to the right, left shoulder goes back, extend your spine back, and to the left, squeeze your glutes a bit, and then rotate down towards the floor, to the center, and come up. Okay, so we're mobilizing specifically our upper back, thoracic spine. You can switch the cross of your arms if you wish. Second side, flex your spine, then rotate to the left, bring your right shoulder back, and over to the right, then rotate to the right, and come to center, again to the left, elbows point down to the left, right shoulder goes back, I'm sort of painting like a rainbow, up and over to the right, and then rotate, back to center, and come up. Okay, and release your arms. Let's come down onto our knees. We'll do our shoulders here. So, bring your arms down by your side. Lift your shoulders up, and squeeze your shoulder blades together, and pull your shoulder blades down. So broaden your shoulders, lift your shoulders, squeeze your shoulder blades, and pull them down. One more time. In the other direction, you'll squeeze shoulder blades together, lift up, broaden, and down. Squeeze, lift up, broaden, and down. One last time, squeeze, lift up, broaden, and take it down. Let's take a one leg position. So bring your left leg out to the left. Left hand goes behind your left knee to stabilize. I'm stabilizing my spine and pelvis. Right arm down by your side. So we're going to start by painting a diagonal line. From my right hand, it goes across to the left. And then my right bicep goes by my ear. And I'm trying to avoid elevating my scapula. I'm just working scapular rotation. So here I'm in upward scapular rotation. Then I'll spin my palm out to the side and continue painting that arcway, that trajectory all the way back. When I end at the back, my palm will face the wall behind me. Now I'll push back with my palm, spin my arm, turn my palm in, and come all the way back across that diagonal line to center. I'm really trying here not to let my ribs flare or my tailbone go back. Okay, again, go across the diagonal, spin your palm and reach back. Palm faces back, and then press back with your palm. Spin, reach across, and bring your arm down. Okay, we'll switch sides, feel the difference. 2 shoulder circumductions in either direction is not a huge thing, but it's also not nothing. So feel what that accomplishes. And second side, left arm goes across the midline and up, and then turn, reach back. Press back with your palm. Turn. So I'm working to keep my arm as straight as I can, all the way through my fingertips, my fingernails. One more time, go across. You run out of space here, spin your palm and continue the circle. Press back through your palm. Go up. All the way across. And down. We'll build on some of these movements tomorrow. And stand back up. Bring your hands down onto your knees. We'll do some phone call come in. With a little spinal flexion. Or a hip flexion rather. Okay, so from here you're going to tuck your tailbone under. As you tuck, now we're working your lumbar spine, and then tilt your tailbone back. Tuck under, and tilt. Tuck under, and tilt. Now let's keep the tilt, and now you'll take your pelvis and shift it over to the right. As you shift right, your left leg may straighten a little, and then shift over to the left. Right and left. If you're just joining us this morning, hey, welcome. This is what we're doing. Okay, and then you'll bring pelvis over to the right, and then tuck under, go over to the left, and tilt. So this would be the building blocks of like a twerk. Another direction to the left, tuck, to the right, and tilt. Stand all the way up. Shift your weight onto your left leg. Press down into your left leg. And we'll lift your right leg up. Now again, good place to make fists, stabilize through your arms. You're going to widen your right leg out to the right. Objective here is not to pitch forward, but rather to stay upright. So as I spin my right heel back and point my right thigh forward, my knee will probably have to lower a bit. And then I kick back through my knee, running out of space. Then I'll bring my knee back in, and then reverse that. Knee goes to the side. Outer rotation. I'll come forward. And one more time. Leg to the side. Internally rotate. If balance is difficult, you can do this with your left hand on a wall or on a chair. Also do a side line, which we did with Alex last week. And set your leg down. Second side, lift your left leg. Open to the left. Internally rotate. Kick back, bring your leg in. Out to the side. Externally rotate, so swoop your heel forward. One more time, leg to the side. Internally rotate. And then come back out, externally rotate, and set your leg down. Let's finish standing. Take some circles with your knees. In both directions. Also gives us some nice movement through our ankles. And then one leg at a time, you can lift up onto your toes. Stretch the soles of your feet. And then finally lift your right leg and circle your ankle about 5 times in each direction. Second side. Beautiful. As you breathe in, stretch your arms towards the sky. As you breathe out, bend your knees a bit, hinge at your hips, and fold over your legs. Take your feet a little wider if they're close or together. And your head and neck hang for a moment. Walk your hands forward towards the downward facing dog. Stretch. Come forward and lower your hips towards an upward facing dog. Hey. And then lift your hips up, bring your knees down, and have a seat. Take a deep breath in, expand in all directions. And let it go. Okay. That's all I got for you this morning in terms of movement. We'll pull on some of those threads tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week. In fact, I have some cool guest teachers coming on as well later on in the week to teach us some self-myofascial release stuff. And I'll be co-teaching a practice at the end of the week with my good friend Danny Pomplun right here on the Rise and Shine live stream morning show. All right, I'm going to welcome my mother onto the call. It's their first time going live, so we'll navigate any possible technical difficulties, but also I think this is her first time showing her face live on the gram, so please welcome my beautiful mom. If I can figure out how to get in here. One second. I'll give my mom a few more minutes. Oh, here she comes. There she is.
I had to enable the camera and the mic, but here I am.
Enabled visual. Did you just wake up like this?
Well, actually, I was all done, and then I had to go out to the yard to uncover my little seeds in the greenhouse, and my hair got all wet. So
You look divine.
I look divine. I know. I just myself. And then Michael just texted me, and he says, "Kenny, when you go live with Rocky, make sure the camera's above you." And I said, damn it, I have been walking all around the house trying to find a place where it doesn't reflect off my glasses. And this is it, right where I sit to watch you every day anyway, in my den.
Well, you just want to make sure it's not here.
It's what?
It's not here.
Well, that's what I thought. He was trying to save me from, trying to make me look younger. But I said, who I am. In fact, you know who I pulled up today? Sea serpent. By the way, gazelle is so you.
Oh.
Sea serpent represents the energy of expression. We express ourselves without fear or shame, etc., etc.
Beautiful.
Yes, thank you for these, Rocky.
You're welcome. Well, as always, the guests that I have on the show, I sort of think about conversations that I have with them, and that often informs what I choose as the topic of reflection. And what I know to be true of you from my whole life is you are, as Michael calls you, you are like Mother Earth herself, Mother Nature herself, and perhaps the most empathic, caring, and generous person that I know. For anyone that doesn't know, by the way, I'm an only child. This is the woman that raised me, single mom, the strongest, most independent, wise, brilliant, compassionate person that I know. So this is my mama, who I love more than anything in the world.
I got you, darling.
And yeah, so what's been kind of cool about this quarantine time, no surprise, but whenever we talk, I'm often reminded of how similar we are, just in our desire to do something, to show up and to contribute. And I'm also aware, as someone that loves you, of how tirelessly and how diligently you do what you can to help, which has looked like making masks for the world, and all the other things that you do. So I don't know if you want to share anything about what came up for you in the reflection topic, or how you've been using your time.
Did you also say that I cry easily whenever there's any emotion? Yeah, service is my middle name. It's my go-to. And I realized that I've been using service as a distraction in some cases from taking care of myself. So I made a list of everything that I need to do during this quarantine time. Actually, during my time off work, I did have some time off work anyway. And some of the things were like meditate and do some forgiveness work and let go of resentments and start exercising and walking and breathing deeply, stand up straight, and all this self-improvement stuff. But but the first thing I did was call the Humane Society. Can I come walk your dogs? I'm sure that you're on a skeleton crew there. No, they won't let anybody in. Like you said, you can't do that. So then I called Area 12 Agency on Aging and asked I know you can't give their numbers to me, but can you give my numbers to any people that are really frail, that really are shut in anyway, that can't drive? And no, they wouldn't let me do that. They said, oh, we have things in place. So then I started making masks. And I've got like 80 masks that I've made. I've distributed about 40 of them. And I'm loving that. And thanks to you, I'm checking some things off my list. Every day I'm journaling, meditating, deep breathing. And you're just going within. So I appreciate that for you. I have to share something with you though. In sitting at my
just I just want to let you know it's going to cut us off in 2 minutes, so we can do a second one when it cuts off. So everyone will do a second one to finish the conversation. There we go. All right, what you got for us? You said you had a story.
Well, no, I'm sitting here at my desk. Usually I'm just here focusing on you, because this is where I do it, because there's a rug here. This is where I do your morning thing. Or I'm at the computer, but I'm just realizing that my house is kind of an altar to you. I'm going to see here. Can you see this? Rocky the flying squirrel. Can you guys see that? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
I can see it.
Of course, Yoda. Here's Joey. And here's a picture of Rocky, me in Jamaica. More Yoda. And then also, there's a really interesting thing that and another picture of Rocky when he was a baby. And what a difference a thought makes. But I have cut out a couple of Abraham things that have been here for a long time, and I don't look at them too much because, they're there all the time. But I love this. Make a list of positive aspects. Make a list of things you love and never complain about anything. Here we go with the emotion again. And as you use those things that shine bright and make you feel good as your excuse to give your attention and to be who you are, you will tune into who you are, and the whole world will begin to transform before your eyes. It is not your job to transform the world for others. So that goes with your service theme. But it is your job to transform it for you. A state of appreciation is pure connection to source, where there is no perception of lack. That's so perfect, isn't it? And then underneath it, I wrote in. I had gone to visit a friend up in San Andreas, and I was driving down the road, and there was this old guy there. It was a country road with barbed wire fences and sheep in the fields and cattle. And I just stopped to talk to him, and he leaned in my window. This old frail guy. He looked like he needed a ride or something, which is why I stopped. He leaned in my window and he said, "Don't forget how much fun you're having." And I thought, I stopped to help him. Huh.
I love you, Mom. I love that when we talked last night, my mom goes, I just don't know if I'm gonna have anything to share. I'll just follow your lead. I'll just, I'll just be your wingman and do it. And I was like, or we can just have a conversation like we always have for the last 33 years. And so far, so good.
Well, everybody that's come on has offered so much, like Justin with that wonderful meditation, and Sean and Bubba with their philosophies, and Flavia with her astrology and her humorous bantering, which I enjoy more than anything. And I'm a homeopath and a holistic nurse practitioner, and I thought, well, okay, I should be giving immune boosting suggestions and homeopathic remedies suggestions and offering that, but I don't got to do nothing. I just have to be your mama.
I hope that you're reading these comments that are coming through.
Actually, yeah, Burning Man. God, I am so longing for Burning Man magic. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, these are lovely. Will I be able to look at the comments later? when I look at
Sometimes
that.
when it saves the live, it shows some comments, but it doesn't show all of them. So
I want all the good ones about you and me.
yeah, my favorite one here is by hand creation says I'm super cute. So
That you're
and
super cute.
yeah, yeah, I'll take that one.
Yeah, he inspires me too. Believe me, hand creations. Yeah, sometimes I'll call Rocky and I'll be down. There'll be some issue going on, and he'll just like give me this most relevant sage advice, and I'm like, Rocky, how did you get to be so wise? And he'll say, duh, Mom. This is the stuff you used to tell me, but you just know how to you put your own twist on it. You've carried on. You've carried on and exponentially grown with the nuggets that I've given you.
Thanks, Mom.
Way beyond me now, baby.
I try not to cry this morning. Be too much Heron tears on the live stream. But you know, I remember when I was 18 or 19 is when I first started practicing yoga, and I went through what I at the time felt was sort of like a spiritual awakening. I just kind of, my eyes opened up to the universe and quantum physics and meditation and the notion that I was a part of all of this and that I could influence all of it. And I started to make a list of all these books that I wanted to read that were about, you know, New Age thought and yoga, Eastern philosophy, so on and so forth. And I think for my birthday or Christmas that year, I sent you a list of all the books that I wanted. And you said, oh, I think I might have some of those. I'll just send you a care package of books. And you sent me a box of books, and every single book that I wanted to read was in that box. And they were all books that you had already and that were on our bookshelves growing up. That I never noticed that they were there.
So that's where all my good books are.
Yeah, I have all of them. But I realized that I appreciated that I was able to come to these, not conclusions, but come to a place of asking for this stuff on my own, and also that I was sort of bathed and surrounded by this my whole life. And so I'm really grateful, obviously.
The magic finger. You remember your magic finger?
My mom used to, when I was when I was a kid, my mom used to, when she would do her nails, she would paint one of my fingernails. I don't know why just one. I probably could have deserved all of them, but I would get one of my fingernails painted, and it was my magic finger that I would use to turn red lights green, to open grocery store automatic doors, and to manifest my will.
With a little help from your mama, but you didn't know it at the time.
Yes, of course. Do you still help me out whenever I set my intentions? Well, all that's to say that I'm grateful that I was able to be raised in an environment where these concepts and ideas and really just the magic of life was ingrained in me at an early age. And whenever I've kind of lost it and come back to it, I'm able to remember that it was there in a foundational sense because of you. So thanks, Mama.
Thank you, Rocky.
Mm-hmm. And I will put you on the spot just because I know that you don't need to prepare for this, but whenever I am going through any kind of emotional or physical dis-ease, my mom always has a litany of recommendations about things that I can do to boost my immune system and maintain my emotional equanimity. Do you have anything that you want to share with folks that you have found to be useful in terms of just staying healthy and strong and vital in these times?
Right now in these times, I think you told me not to prepare, so now I have to just, I did not.
You can give us one. I'll share like the things that you've.
I think it's between your ears. What's between your ears right now is more important than anything. It's attitude, lack of fear, knowing that there's just a huge shift going on and that we're a part of it. And it's up to us to accept that responsibility, if you want to put it in a word as weighty as responsibility. But it's up to us to make internal shifts right now, and to contribute to that that mass consciousness. Hey, Chico. Hey, sweetie. You want to say hi? Hey. si chico. To create a tipping, to be part of the tipping point. You know, I picture a dam that's just ready to burst, and we have to create enough. No more worms, Michael.
Oh my gosh.
He caused me to give him poison. It worked. We just need to be.
As
We
we're
need
making massive shifts in consciousness.
and practical as well. No, when I find myself posting negative things about the current administration, I'm trying not to post them now. I just dump them in a Trump folder, and realize that I cannot make a positive difference in the world unless I am in a positive place myself, and I don't want to contribute to the negative tipping point. So I think if we can just all be part of a wonderful mass consciousness and realize that this is leading us towards something greater, and there is a cleansing in the process, a clearing out of the old, and we can just create this energy, this powerful wave that can burst the dam. But it takes enough of us. This is why I love your meditation, and this is why I like the idea that we're all meditating at 8 o'clock Central Time for whatever it is that we visualize, that we can envision the best possible outcome and the highest good for all concerned. So it's mostly internal work, spiritual work, and practically.
Do you want to say more about that? Because you just mentioned the 8 o'clock Central.
Mm-hmm. I'm just seeing posts on Facebook at 8 o'clock Central Time. I think that's 8 p.m. I believe it's 8 p.m. Okay. Yeah. And that would be 2 hours ahead of us here. 2 hours. Yeah. Just there's like a meditation, just a mass meditation across the world. So if enough of us to contribute that, and I think that what's been holding this planet together for a long, long time are just these beacons of people that are meditating, you know, like the monks and the people in the ashrams and the monasteries and the holy people that have really, and just the common meditators and the people that have not just doing good, but that are feeling good, and envisioning things for us. I think if we can all contribute to that in a mass way, you know, as the Bible says, is if 2 or more are gathered in my name, and that would be, or 2 or more people are of one accord, you know, we have the same intention. I think that's the most important thing we can do. And if you want practical advice, I can give you practical nutritional homeopathic advice too.
Well, if you are interested in some of my mom's practical homeopathic, holistic advice as it relates to healing, she does do consultations over the phone, so she's a great resource to reach out to in those ways. You can reach out to me or reach out to her to put you guys in contact. She's also a professional custom mask maker now. I should have mine on display, but all of my friends are donning my mom's homemade masks. I know some of you guys have reached out to her too. Do you have any you want to show?
Well, I'm going to run in and show you my messy table with some patterns, some fabrics. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this. We have cats. We have the one that you like so much.
We can't see. Hold it up to the...
Oh. Okay, so let's see.
Look on the camera of what it's showing, because it's a half.
Yeah, what are you? Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, those are cats. This is the design that Rocky likes. I like that one. It's another African design. Beautiful peacock. Just kind of a psychedelic thing. And I got a lot of these pirates because I was going to make them for my Running Man camp. Anyway, I can do any of those for you, and I've been putting, basically they're 4-layered. So I've been putting like thick flannel inside of them, and it's a nice tight weave, and then I've been putting some thick interfacing. And I was, to make them really safe, like for medical people, like I was going to send one to Kat, and I have somebody that just ordered 6 medical ones. I was going to put HEPA filters. I ordered some vacuum cleaner HEPA filter bags, but somebody just texted me and said she thinks they might have asbestos in them, so I have to, before I put those in, I have to do that. But anyway, I'm making some good quality quality masks, and you'd be styling too. And I'm just handing them out. I don't go out without having them in my pocket. I told you about my little exchange the other day. No, I'm not going to admit that publicly. All right, I will. I'm human. I went into Walmart and there's this guy standing outside smoking a cigarette, and I thought, damn, that cigarette looks so good. And I said, would you like to exchange a mask for a cigarette? He said, yeah, right. So I'm out there with the rest of them smoking. It's like, oh God, that tasted so good. But the thing that surprised me though is that I went into like the Dollar General here to get some more elastic and some other Easter supplies, and went into Walmart. I'm asking people if they want a mask, the people that work there, the clerks. No, thank you. Most of them. I handed quite a few out, but no, thank you. One guy, he's a clerk. I mean, a checkout clerk, people face to face all day, every day, goes, no, they just make me feel too confined and suffocated. And I thought, yeah, imagine being on a respirator, how that would feel. But I didn't say anything. Okay.
Well, and as you said before, like a lot of what goes on up here
Yes.
is what
Yes.
contributes to your well-being. So who knows?
Yes.
Not to say, walk out and put yourself in harm's way and just think yourself into well-being, but
I don't know.
It is.
Well, Abraham's teaching. Somebody once asked Abraham, are you advocating denial? And she said, absolutely. So, I mean, if you believe, I was once listened to a broadcast on the radio by I can't remember, somebody who I had a lot of respect for, and he said, you could eat Pop-Tarts and Hershey bars all day long and be healthy if you believed it was good for you. I don't know, I'm a little more practical than that, but I think a combination.
Well, you also know too much to believe that's good for you.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So I think we all have to act in accordance with our beliefs, and if you're actively denying things you believe in, then
there's no way to actively deny them.
Yeah. So it is. As always, it's holistic and it's integrative. Work on your mind, work on your body, and be wise in the decisions that you make. And if you bum one cigarette a week, I suppose that's okay.
If they only sold them one at a time, and I had to walk down 2 miles to the corner liquor store and buy one cigarette and walk back, that would be lovely. I could do that once a week as a treat.
Well, who knows? Maybe when we envision our better world in our manifestation, you can include that in your
lack of jonesing for nicotine. I'm working on that. I gave it up for Lent. I actually went to church. I'm not even Catholic, but I went to church. Went to the Ash Wednesday thing, thinking I could get some. It's a definitive period. 40 days. You can break a habit in 40 days. Yeah. No, just have one. Just have a little. It's hard.
Well, Mom, I'm gonna start to sign off here, but I really appreciate you coming on, and I think it's safe to say that you're a natural at this. So I'm happy to be your straight man anytime, or your roommate, I'll say.
You didn't do Lorraine. I was going to be your Ed McMahon.
Yeah, my mom would love it if I gave you some of my cast of characters, but I might have to save that for a different live stream. Or maybe part 2 of this. I'll develop all my characters for you guys. In the meantime, your homework is to go to YouTube and type in Mad TV Lorraine. If you're not aware of who that character is, then next time Mom comes on, I can fulfill her wish.
Rocky, you really ought to get Michael on here.
Oh yeah, I'd love to. Is Michael on right now?
Yeah, Michael's there. He was earlier.
Okay, well, I mean, the invite is officially out, Michael, to come on and chat with me one mornings.
Great. No, that'll be fun. That'll be fun.
So if anyone's interested in one of my mom's amazing magical masks, you can reach out to me or reach out to her directly. You have her information here now. And I love you, Mom. Thank you for doing this.
I got
As
you,
I said, what I said to my mom last night, I want to say publicly, she was wanting to come on and feeling like she needed to prepare something to offer folks. And I said, and I really mean it, that your presence truly is a gift, and the example that you set in the world just by being who you are is a light for a lot of people. And my
Rocky, thank you.
continued hope for you is for you to be able to rest in that knowledge, because you're magical and wonderful, and I love you. I am who I am because of you. So thank you.
Wow, that says it all. That's all I need to hear. Thank you, sweetheart. I love you.
Love you too, Mom.
Thank you for the good work you've done. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Bye. Bye, guys.